Today we are going to have a conversation. Today we are going to learn conversation. Scene, a press briefing at Bengaluru Cybercrime Unit. Riya Sharma is interviewing Pallavi, who recently filed a complaint. Along with Inspector Nayak and Dr. Patel, Riya said, "Good evening, everyone. Today we are discussing a troubling case, an online matrimonial scam that cost a Bengaluru woman over 30 lakh. Thank you all for joining us. Miss Pallavi, can you start by telling us how this began?" Pallavi said, "Thank you, Ria. I had registered a popular matrimonial website. I had registered on a popular matrimonial website, hoping to find a suitable match. A man named Jesh contacted me, claiming he was an Anglo-Indian working in Canada. He sounded polite, educated, and genuine. Over a few weeks, we spoke regularly, and I began to trust him completely." Ria said, "Did you ever suspect that something was wrong?" Pallavi said, "Honestly, not at first. He spoke well, seemed caring, and even shared photographs. When he said he was relocating to India permanently, I thought things were getting serious. He told me he had shipped some gifts and personal items for me, which sounded believable. At the time, Inspector Naik said, "Unfortunately, this is how cyber criminals manipulate emotions. They build trust and create convincing story. Once the victim lowers their guard, they introduce fake logistic or custom payments." Ria said, "That's shocking." Pallavi, when did you realize it was a scam? Pallavi said, "The first payment seemed normal, 37,000 for parcel clearance. But then they asked for more, saying parcel contained US dollar and required IMF clearance. Jayesh kept assuring me, saying, 'Don't worry, I will reimburse you once I arrive.' Each time I raised a concern, he had a convincing explanation. But when they demanded another 14 lakhs, finally grew suspicious." Ria said, "Dr. Patel, this is not the first time we have heard of such a cases. Why do we why do so many educated people fall into these traps?" Dr. Patel said, "That's good question. Emotional manipulation is powerful. Scammers exploit loneliness and trust, particularly in matrimonial contexts. They use flattery, consistency, and urgency, making the victim feel valued and emotionally connected. From a psychological standpoint, victims are not foolish. They are simply emotionally invested." Ria said, "Inspector, what steps has the police taken so far?" Inspector Naik said, "We have initiated an investigation to trace the bank accounts used in the fraud and requested to freeze the transactions. The suspect's number was registered under a fake ID, but our cyber team is tracking IP addresses and money trails." Ria said, "Miss Pallavi, how has this experience affected you personally?" Pallavi said, "It's been emotionally exhausting. I felt embarrassed at first, but then I realized staying silent would only help the criminals. I decided to come forward and file a complaint so that others don't fall into the same trap." Ria said, that's a brave decision. Dr. Patel, what can people do to protect themselves from such a scams? Dr. Patel said, firstly, always verify identities. Never transfer money to someone you haven't met in person. Look for red flags. Avoiding video calls. Making emotional promises too soon or creating false emergencies. At the end of the day, awareness is our strongest defense. Riya said, Inspector, one final question. One final question. Is this problem getting worse in India? Inspector Naik said, Unfortunately, yes. Cyber fraud networks are expanding rapidly, often operating across borders. We need stronger cyber laws, better coordination between banks and police, more public awareness campaigns. Ria said, Thank you all for sharing your insights. This case is a reminder that trust must always be balanced with caution, especially online. Thank you for listening to this conversation.